Welcome back to What She Said Sports. Happy Sunday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And if you're still weekending and vacationing, I hope you're enjoying. I've seen our guys out enjoying the fruits of their labor, the forever buffs from Colorado in the NFL. I also saw one current buff, DJ McKinney, back in Texas with his family doing his little two step. But it's nice to see the guys who made it to the next level um, out enjoying themselves. Jimmy Horn Jr., as y'all know, everybody loves Jimmy Horn Jr., was spotted on vacation. We saw him on vacation last week, but he was spotted this week on vacation by Gilly the King, supporter, friend, and I would say Buff family. One of the sons of Coach Prime. So they were out somewhere together and ran into each other. And I was thinking, have y'all ever been on vacation and just ran into somebody y'all knew? I was thinking about that. So I don't know where they were. But they ran into each other while they both were on vacation independently. So let me know in the comments if you ever recall running into somebody that you know personally while you yourself was on vacation and then they were on the vacation as well. Um, so Jimmy Hart Jr. is well received by Carolina. I think I told y'all he was third on the depth chart. I know he was rehabbing a hamstring, but I think he'll be back for sure to start the first preseason game. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the first preseason game for Jimmy is also the first preseason game for Shedeur Sanders. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. And speaking of Shedeur, he was spotted at the playoffs for 7-on-7 OT7, where Cam Newton's team squared off against RG3's team, and RG3's team won. So there were a lot of athlete celebrities there. Shedeur was there. He said he was in town. I saw him with, I don't know if y'all remember, but they call him Primetime JJ, Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. Probably will be a number one overall pick in the future at the next level. So he was talking to Shedeur. Shedeur was talking to RG3. So seven is that arena that seems to be ripe with opportunity, ownership opportunities. I told y'all Gunna has a team. They played at the Rose Bowl. I feel like, if these guys are not ready to take a step um, into ownership of their own pro league, which they need, like the unrivaled of football, I think 7-on-7 might be a good foray. We talked a little bit about it yesterday when we were just having conversation, and we talked about how the high schools seem to have 7-on-7 included in their teams, right? Their athletics. And I think it was Wild Dog who told us that in Texas, you have, former athletes that own the team. So I'm, thinking these NFL guys, this might be a good foray for them to basically put a stopgap in place before the NFL. See, the guys that came out of college in Coach Prime's era, before NIL, it was just the NFL was the goal, and there was nothing in between college. They didn't have NIL. These guys didn't have a lot of money. That's where all these scandals came from. But see, now there's something in between the NFL, and it's called NIL. And I even questioned, was the NFL anti NIL? And we talked about how it's harder to force into submission and oppress the players and control the mindset of the players when they come into the league with millions. But imagine if there's another level before you even get to college where there's NIL, 7-on-7. These teams owned by the likes of Cam Newton, legend, uh, RG3, right? Not just getting tutelage in terms of the skill, but in terms of being a whole player, a whole person, how to conduct yourself, right? Imagine if at the high school level, you have self-worth instilled into you as an athlete, then you get to NIL and you get to capitalize off of that. That's two layers before the next level. Currently, the NFL, right? Imagine how hard it is and how players will stand up more for themselves if there's two layers of football that incorporate self-worth, being a champion and being a whole person and being respected in the business world. So you're conducting business for the most part at the high school level. You're conducting business because you can get NIL in high school. You're conducting business at the college level. So when you get to the NFL, and if they still on that plantation mentality, trying to resurrect Jim Crow or make sure that people know that, white players get treated this way and black players, are abused. It's going to be harder to do that. It's going to be easier to walk away. See, right now we're in flux, right? This class, 2025, is essentially the first class that I can think of that nobody was running out to buy a Lamborghini. Why? UT already gave their players Lamborghinis, right? We know Colorado players had NIL, right? We know that even on Coach Prime shows, players were being paid to be a part of Coach Prime season 3, Coach Prime season 2, right? So I'm looking at this 7-on-7, and I'm looking at Shedeur out there, and I'm like, he needs to do that. I think, Shedeur having his own team, I think it would be great. I think it would offset the next 4 years in the NFL. And I think also people can learn from his story. I was looking at his body language, when he was talking to RG3. He's in my opinion somewhat subdued, right? Um, and they still beating up on him. I got an article today from Jerry sending me talking points for the most part from Skip Bayless about, come on, Shedeur, you're better than this with these speeding tickets. And I'm like, it's funny how, since we need to call these guys out. Didn't Skip just have his own scandal? Did you hear anybody say, come on, Skip, you're better than that? Did he take accountability for his own scandal? Right? Retzloff is also in the news for being suspended 7 games because of misconduct. And you know what kind. Let's see how long they talk about that. Let's see if it negatively affects his draft stock. All they can talk about is parking tickets. You know what popped up in my feed on Netflix today? Brett Favre's documentary is out. The Fall of Favre. And when it starts, the first 2 people in the opening scenes are Michael Vick and Jamel Hill. And that sets the tone to tell you about Brett Favre, the person. But isn't he in the Hall of Fame? Isn't he still looked at as a legend? But all they can talk about is Shedeur Sanders parking tickets. And I feel like that should just show everybody what the hatred is really about. That it's really about hatred. It's not just clickbait. People want to dismiss it and say, this is clickbait. But at the same time, it's not. This is trying to tear this young man down. And they are working overtime. And, Skip was on Shedeur's side. But now he wants to lament Shedeur, saying, come on, you're better than this, without one mention. What about the NFL being better than this? Nobody wants to hold the NFL accountable for the public humiliation campaign launched against Shedeur Sanders. That's still continuing. This is one player. They want to tear down his mental. That's dangerous. Right? And yeah, he can tune it all out, but we can't. We can't escape it. So, you're going to see it. And my thing is, you haven't heard anybody say anything else. Justin Tucker, they talked about that for 2 hours. Justin Tucker has been suspended for 10 games, came and went. We still talking about Shedeur Sanders parking tickets. What is it? Speeding tickets. Without any mention of what this young man and his father have been through. So let's see if Retzloff's draft stock is negatively impacted by his suspension. Hell, they still talking about Deshaun Watson. Talking about his nightmare might not be over. So see, Deshaun Watson, we have to hear about this repeatedly. Justin Tucker came and went. They didn't even want to admit why they kicked him off the Baltimore Ravens. Something about his performance. So it's Justin Tucker's performance, but we have to hear about Deshaun Watson without talking about the fact that this man got reimbursed essentially every dime he paid out to his lawyers and in these settlements. Nobody wants to talk about that part. These guys don't want to hold the NFL accountable. They just want to take Deshaun Watson and talk about him incessantly, all the while excusing Justin Tucker. I'm still hearing about speeding tickets, but I didn't hear publicly about what happened with Wrestloff. That's huge. That we have a college football player suspended for 7 games, 8 games. Hell, they only played 12. Why they just didn't kick him off the team? They don't have a backup. Why is he still gonna get the opportunity to lead the team in one of the most coveted positions on the team? But all I hear is about Shedeur Sanders parking tickets. I'm over here trying to celebrate my guys. LaJohntay and his boo, Zanaya, and was it Maryland, Annapolis? They out shopping, celebrating their success. That's what I'm looking at. But I keep getting pulled over here with this foolishness. But that's not what it is. These people have launched an all-out assault on Shedeur Sanders, the person, without making any mention of what the person had to endure in the NFL. And last week, all they wanted to talk about was this document. So Monday, we're going to return to the document. Why? Because when we left off on Friday, we talked about a few things that I highlighted. And one section we highlighted was the NFL's justification for why players don't have guaranteed contracts. And I pointed out, without even looking at the stats, that I'm pretty sure that football does not have the most injuries because they don't even play nearly the most games. And it turns out there's stats to go with it. And it's true. Basketball has the most frequency of injuries, and they have guaranteed contracts. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the NFL Players Association is colluding against the players with the owners against guaranteed contracts since we have 30 rookies, 39 rookies holding out? Most in the second round for guaranteed contracts. Is this where the players band together and use their leverage to ask for guaranteed contracts? When the whistle blow in the first game, nobody come off the sideline. Use your leverage. You've been unjustly denied guaranteed contracts using false logic. Basketball has the highest frequency of injuries, not football. So they should have guaranteed contracts. So it's nice to see everybody out enjoying the fruits of their labor. But I'm ready to see Shedeur enjoy himself the way we used to seeing him enjoy himself. And I'm tired of seeing this young man be berated without the NFL being held accountable. I'm also tired of seeing the players being cheated without anybody holding the NFL and the Players Association accountable. You know, I saw somebody's caption today said, the future of the NFL. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think it's something we could do without. I think we could do better. As fans, we should demand better for the players whose jerseys we want to wear on our backs. Everybody want to go out and get Shedeur Sanders' jersey. If all of those people that bought a jersey will put their collective voice together to hold the NFL accountable, we could get somewhere. We could get somewhere where Shedeur is concerned. So that's what we need to do. Everybody want to enjoy themselves. They made it. There's one person that's still being beat up on. And we can't act like we don't see it. We need to do something to hold these people accountable. He sold the most jerseys. Therefore, everybody's voice should be heard. So let me see what y'all have saying in here. And it's still reaction summer. It's still a reaction summer. So, you know, y'all probably going to hear me talking not directly to Skip, but I'm probably going to call him out because, you know, I know Skip likes Shedeur and it's not justifiable to use and exploit Shedeur for clickbait. And it's definitely not justifiable to call out Shedeur Sanders for some speeding tickets, all the while not discussing how we got here. discussing what Coach Prime went through. See, if you want to talk about Shedeur, you're going to have to talk about the truth, the collusion, the defamation, the public humiliation campaign that was orchestrated with the phone number being given out by the NFL. We can talk about that old misconnection. We gonna have to keep you. The more you talk about Shedeur, the more we gonna talk about the truth. So if you don't want to talk about the truth, you're gonna have to stop talking about Shedeur. If he sold the most jerseys, there's a lot of people that's backing Shedeur. And maybe everybody don't have the ability to stop and press record. But a lot of people do. And when you're in these comment sections, you need to call these people out. Leave Shedeur alone. That's really how I feel. Talk about the truth or leave Shedeur alone. If you're not going to talk about Resloff and his implications and talk about his 7-game suspension from here to perpetuity, then shut the hell up about Shedeur. Skip's scandal came and went. Nobody's talking about that, but we still talking about speeding tickets. Let's be honest. Skip's scandal is 10 times worse than Shedeur saying the speeding tickets. Resloff suspended of 7 games in college and still allowed to be the damn quarterback is worse than Shedeur Sanders' speeding tickets. Why? Because Shedeur Sanders didn't just get behind the wheel all of a sudden and accumulate 2 speeding tickets. It happened right after this young man was publicly humiliated. And if I had to guess, that's why his body language looked like it does today at OT7. You see the difference. It's only so much you could take as a person. Now I got to go out here after I've been humiliated around all of these people that know how I was treated, that know I was robbed. He was a talk for weeks and still is. And how do you think it feels when he walks into these rooms? No, NFL gonna have to come off this bullshit, bro. I'm serious. If you want to talk about Shedeur, we're gonna have to talk about the truth. We're gonna have to talk about what precipitated these speeding tickets. We're gonna have to talk about why it's okay for Resloff to still be the quarterback at BYU. We're gonna talk about how it's supposed to impact his draft stock. We're going to talk about why the hell it is we're not even talking about Justin Tucker, but y'all still want to talk about Deshaun Watson, but you don't want to admit to everybody that the NFL reimbursed Deshaun Watson all of his money and gave him some extra to enjoy his life. They want to take these black guys and hold them up and string them up figuratively from a tree and let everybody watch while they suffer. It's a public lynching. We should not still be talking about Shedeur if we're not talking about the NFL and what they did to Shedeur. We should not be talking about Deshaun Watson. We should be talking about the latest situation, Justin Tucker. But they don't want to talk about Justin Tucker. Why? Because it shows you Deshaun Watson is not the only one that was involved in that scandal in Texas. That's why they don't want to talk about Justin Tucker. So shut up about Deshaun Watson. Or talk about the fact that the NFL gave him all his damn money back. Ask the NFL why they reimbursed Deshaun Watson all his money. That's what you want to talk about. Talk about the truth. Don't talk about his settlements. Talk about how he got reimbursed. He got one of the few, if not the only, fully guaranteed contract by a veteran of that magnitude. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about what they want to talk about. Some people want to turn their comments off and say what the hell they want to say. Nah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that at all. So y'all got to hold, if you're going to put that 12 on your back for Cleveland, then hold these people accountable. Ask them about their scandals. If you're not going to talk about your scandal, Skip Bayless, with all due respect, shut the hell up. You are not allowed to exploit Shedeur for clicks. And you are not allowed to try to hold him accountable without holding the NFL accountable. If you're going to address the situation with speeding tickets, talk about what came before it. They don't want to do that. So I'm getting tired of seeing this. And I know I'm not the only one. So you gotta hold these people accountable. Hey everybody, how you doing? I seen a picture. It said Gilly looks super small to J5. Jake looked like he more fit than he was before. Travis looked pretty slim too. Hey Tina, how you doing? Shedeur was at the game. Yeah, he was there. Jeremiah Smith. Prime time JJ. It looks like NFL Blitz. It's like NFL Blitz. It said, "Hey fam, hit the like button." Yeah, hit the like button. 7 on 7 with pads would be dope. I like 7 on 7. Yeah, I like it the way it is, but they do have it with pads with the little kids too. What makes it better with pads, in my opinion, in your opinion? Who said that, Mac? Why is 7 on 7 with pads versus without? Let me know. I'm just curious. RG3 knows. It say absolutely he will be great with the children. That's what he needs to do. Shadua loves kids. Get a 7 on 7 team. Something where you can pour into. Because he's being torn down so much by the league he's a part of, likely for the next 4 years. But I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, if I got paid $25 million, I'm calling a lawyer. I'm like, how much I owe them to get out of this? Ain't going on. This is ridiculous. It's not gonna get no better. It's not gonna get any better. Are we really gonna hear with the same intensities? I'm apologizing to Shedeur for what? We knew Shedeur was the best QB. They doing this because they want to. They doing it because they think they can, and it's okay. It's not okay. If the man is sold the most jerseys of any rookies, that ought to tell you it's a lot of people that's rolling with Shedeur. Absolutely, he will be great with the children. Yeah, he should do that. Skip was hush mouth. He knew. My thing is, Skip just went through a scandal on his own, and I didn't hear nobody say, "Come on, Skip, you married, bro. Come on, you better than that." I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that at all. I mean, what they say: if you point one finger, it's four pointing back at you. If you're not gonna talk about how we got to them damn parking tickets, how we got to them speeding tickets, how we don't know this to be a situation that has occurred before, because if it did, I promise you, they would have found it. That if his father was struggling with something, so is he. They don't want to talk about that. Hey, Alam, how you doing? Queen T said, "Hello, chat. Skip Bayless is too old for what he said about him. So Skip, he too. My thing is, it's so hypocritical of the media, right? It's completely hypocritical of the larger media to sit up and hypothesize about how is Aaron Rodgers gonna be good without talking about the truth here. So Pittsburgh passed up a franchise QB for Aaron Rodgers, who's plagued by domestic violence allegations. See, they would rather have somebody dealing with domestic violence allegations for 1 year than to have Shedeur take them to the Super Bowl or get close to it like Jada Dames. They don't want to tell y'all that Shedeur Sanders, the reason that the NFL loves Pat Mahomes, is the same skill set that Shedeur Sanders possesses, and why we love him too. And they should, because the ability to extend plays, they don't even want to say out loud. They don't even want to put Shedeur Sanders' name in the same sentence with Tom Brady, even though Tom Brady mentored Shedeur. They don't want to admit he has the same ability as Pat Mahomes. They don't want to admit he could be the next Jaden Daniels. They don't want to admit it. They want to tear him down because they don't want to admit it. So you would rather lose money. You would rather tear down your own brand than win with this young man? That's what they need to be talking about. I saw it again today. I saw the headline that said, Riz thinks that Shedeur Sanders should at least get a chance. I'm like, that's the craziest thing ever. I don't think people realize that this whole thing has been turned upside down. That people don't realize that they talking about mediocrity as the truth and the way forward. Kirk Cousins, somebody trying to find him somewhere to go. Is he going to go to Cleveland? Flacco, part-time QB since 2017. Should have been gone. Aaron Rodgers should have been gone. Kirk Cousins just need to retire, but no, he think he too good to be QB2 behind Michael Penix Jr. Why? Would you be okay with being QB2 behind JJ McCarthy? Don't he need a quarterback over there? It is very obvious as to what's happening here. And it's reminiscent of Jim Crow. I can look the other way. Aaron Rodgers could have domestic violence allegations. We ain't gonna talk about that. But we're gonna talk about Shedeur Sanders' speedy tickets. Excessively. That's Jim Crow. The white man can do it, but the black man can't. I want y'all to know that's exactly where they are. Whether they call it that or not, that is what they have established or re-established. I know Jackson Dart not better than Shedeur, but I don't want Shedeur to be my quarterback. The NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now. So to me, the next best thing is to do what? Do what our people before us did. Build your own. Build your own. If maybe not a pro league, then Shedeur Sanders should definitely get legendary 7-on-7. I'm probably going to send that to him, but he might not never get it. But that's what needs to happen. Shedeur needs to pour into these kids. Everybody loves him. And people like to say, oh, that's just what they say on TV. No, it's not. Because look how he was treated when he first got to Cleveland. Very icy. He's in a toxic environment. He needs something to counterbalance that. Legendary 7-on-7. That's what he needs. Legendary OT7, legendary 7-on-7. That's what he needs to do. Because he's going to need something as he journeys for the next 4 years. With every day the realization becoming true and true about what's really going on. I don't know if he ever been in a situation where he been racially discriminated against. It's not easy to deal with. Because for one, he can't change it. He signed his contract, so he's supposed to do what? So they just gonna kill his career for the next 4 years and talk about him incessantly while overlooking people like Retzloff and Aaron Rodgers with their assault claims, misconduct for 4 years. It's gonna be a long 4 years for somebody like Shedeur Sanders to be benched for 4 years, passed around from team to team to team for 4 years. It's gonna be a long 4 years. Here's my prayer for Shedeur. I pray that God gives Shedeur eyes to see his truth and ears to hear his voice. In Jesus' name, amen. And let me tell you why. Because these people probably not going to be no different. And it's going to be a long 4 years if you stuck in this. So if God opens the door, you got to walk through it and don't look back. You got to pour into something else. Get a 7-on-7 team. And I know it's hard for him to accept the fact that it's a possibility that the NFL ain't for him. And if he want to be quarterback, Canada might be the way to go. The mentality that these people have towards quarterbacks. Notice I said they talking about Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. Notice they're not talking about pink powder no more. That just came and went. See how that works? When you're not a quarterback, a black quarterback. Aaron Rodgers gets a pass. Heinous allegations of domestic violence. If Shannon Sharp had to leave ESPN to deal with his allegations, why Aaron Rodgers don't have to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers to deal with his? So once again, I'm out here looking at my guys, the Forever Bucks, enjoy themselves, and I see Shedeur, and it's great to see Shedeur. But it's a reminder that everybody's moving forward and celebrating. And this young man, not only did he get devalued and got his pockets picked and got robbed, they did him dirty. They intentionally held a public lynching so everybody in the town could watch. 7.3 billion people as he be devalued and defamed and humiliated. I said this last week. It's going to be hard for everybody to move forward until Shador is taken care of. Because every time we see him, it's going to be a constant reminder of what happened. The NFL making money off of his jerseys, but they still treating him like they did in the draft, like he's a four-string quarterback. The NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shador Sanders, and they showing us every day. But they drafted him. So where do we go from here? You say you didn't want him, but you drafted him. Why you drafting? That's a problem. And I think with this collusion document still out here, we're gonna go back. We're gonna continue on tomorrow because tomorrow's a business day. Let's get back to the business of football. We're gonna look and see what else stands out. Since we know that guaranteed contracts are being unjustly denied using false logic. If these guys have no recourse with the NFL Players Association, they willing to publicly lynch you figuratively if you're a black quarterback. And for everybody else, you just a body. We pay you, but we don't want to see you enjoy yourself. Why go there? So every time we see Shador, it's going to be a reminder to come back to this conversation and talk about the truth. That's what's going to happen. Ain't nobody going to be able to move forward without that because every NFL game, people are going to want to talk about it. When Cleveland played their preseason game and they let Shador play, because they probably going to let him play, and he balls out, what you think going to happen when the regular season come around? And then if they don't let him play the regular season, because it looks like they have no intention on it unless they out here changing their mind, and he gonna get first team reps when they come back to training camp. People waiting on them to do the right thing. So you waiting on a miracle. I want you to know you waiting on God. Because these people are not gonna do the right thing. They haven't done the right thing in 9 decades. And black players are the sacrifice every time. And the quarterback position is worse. It's just abuse. Max say still praying for Shador. He may be smiling, but we really don't know mentally what he's going through. I can tell by his body language. I looked at his body language. Not comfortable. It's good that he has the right mindset, but that doesn't mean the situation isn't still. Of course it is. Of course it is. See, the only way you move past this out of sight, out of mind, you no longer associated with the same environment. I have to go back here in July and deal with what I already dealt with. And they're probably going to do the same thing. It's time for somebody to use some leverage to make them straighten up and fly right where Shadua is concerned. That hasn't happened. We see it with Travis. And you see how they tried to do him. See, that's a reminder. And I told y'all, they might want Travis to be the face of the league. You ain't gonna see Travis. It said, yet they have not mentioned one word about Kirk Barton, who not long after was speeding and fatally crashed into a 24-year-old. Who is that? BJ, what team was he playing with? I don't think I haven't heard. You're right. I haven't heard about that. I haven't heard about that at all. I hope Cleveland fans pull through too. Me also. I agree because they got two issues, right? Well, really three. But again, I asked the question with that 2017 season, and that young man popped up on my radar for a reason, just like Brett Favre popped up in my Netflix feed. I had just finished the last episode yesterday of that show I was watching, The Lincoln Lawyer. And today, when I turned on Netflix, I was like, oh, the Brett Favre thing is out, and I started looking at it or whatever. And it was talking about him as a person, right? And for that to start with Michael Vick, I remember hearing that Michael Vick said that the system is rigged. The NFL, that's what he meant. It's rigged. And if you're a black quarterback, it's rigged against you. When he said that, see, that let me know. He knows something went down with him. People weren't sure if it was on the front end, it's on the back end. Because they took all of his money back with that signing bonus and they bankrupted him. But then they let him come back. Right? It's like as long as they get to kick these guys, well, let me help you up. They stomp on them, abuse them, but then let me help you up. Like some kind of savior complex. We don't want another fake apology. No, they could keep that. Cleveland fans, y'all need to pull through. Yep. Cleveland need to do something. Skip got a pass. Show did. Exactly. I'm like, how you gonna sit up there talking about? Come on, Shedeur. Hello. What happened with your situation? I like Skip, but this ain't right now. Just shut up, okay? And move on, right? But nothing about the NFL. Because they all want access to the players. See, the players good. Because when the whistle blow, I'm going to just stand here. We all just stand here. We can't get no guaranteed contracts. You lying to us about why we don't have guaranteed contracts. You colluding with the Players Association, which means we have absolutely no recourse. They have none. They have 4-year, one-sided contracts that are not guaranteed. And if something's wrong, you just saw the grievance process fail. Yes, they're guilty of collusion, but not enough damages. Oh, that's BS. Russell Wilson lost $81 million in damages and guarantees. And how does I still don't understand how somebody think their agent thinks he has a $350 million contract or he has all these guarantees, but he really doesn't. So did they collude with the agent? These guys have no recourse. They better use their collective voice. At least the rookies are trying. At least the rookies are trying. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. You can only call up so many people from the UFL. They don't talk about what they did to Shedeur because they don't give a damn. No, they don't. I had to tell them over and over again if they are going to troll about that, watch at least then get the name right. No Rolex, but Audemars. I went. It said I read that Deshaun Watson is mentoring Shedeur and he is going to corrupt him. I don't know how he gonna corrupt him because he ain't the only one. See, people acting like Deshaun Watson is the only one tells me that they know he not. Shit, I know he wasn't. Who was on here when I said he wasn't the only one? And you see how that's coming to light now? You see how it's coming to light? I've been asking, how the hell he get this contract? They gave him every dime back. And then there's Justin Tucker. And you see the disparity on how they're dealing with those two. That tells you that there's somebody that looks like Justin Tucker who was also involved down in Texas, and they don't want you to know who it is. But I have a good idea. Deshaun Watson is not from Houston, but all of those masseuses were for the most part. And when you're not from Houston and you knew somewhere and you don't know nobody, I mean, how do you meet people? The people who already there told you about it. The people already on the team who was already partaking in the same behavior. Hey, I got this person. When I noticed they were all from Houston, I said, uh huh. Hmm. They protecting somebody, just like the old Miss guy is being protected. He looked like Justin Tucker, don't he? Just different color of the hair. That's it. No melanin. Well, not much, if any. And they still want to talk about Deshaun Watson like he was the only one. Okay, keep playing this charades. Keep playing this charades. We're gonna return to this document on Monday, and we're gonna see what else is in there. Deshaun Watson ain't corrupting Shedeur because who corrupted Deshaun Watson? That's the question. He was a rookie when he got there. Jim Crow, 100%. Yeah, that's what I mean, that's really what it is, right? They're trying to mimic what's going on in the larger environment that we live in, right? They're trying to, like I told y'all, somebody was putting out, that came and went so fast. Somebody was putting out a whites only sign. And black people was like, we probably didn't want to go there no way. So we don't care, right? And it brings up a larger conversation about black people did not ask for immigration. It also brings up what happened at JFK. What was that really about? See, that was integration came along because black people were doing well on their own. So now you want to integrate. When we got Tulsa, we got Seneca Village, we got this, that, and the other, Oscarville. We had everything that you know about. We had duplicated everywhere. I know it's true. Where I grew up in New Orleans, I didn't go to school with any people who, all the private schools that I know of, they were all black. Every now and then, a black person went to a white one, but that's just how I go, right? The school that Shedeur went to visit, St. all black, Catholic, all boys, private school. Most of the kids there are legacy. That example was duplicated all over, everywhere. And that's when they decided they wanted to integrate. We didn't ask for that. In fact, integration made a lot of our businesses go away. So I want Shedeur to get his own 7-on-7 team. I want him to have a team that he owns, that he can instill ethics into, that he can pour into these kids, that he can set the example of what it does, what it looks like to be team ownership, so that it gives these young men another level before they get to college. See, now it's just high school to college, but now in high school, you have the opportunity with this 7-on-7. These teams, these schools are looking at these kids on these 7-on-7 teams because you can't just walk up and they made are the best players. You're learning how to conduct business from the guys who were already pro. You have confidence. So when you get to the NFL, they can't tell you to leave behind your celebrity. You've been a celebrity since you were what? 16? What the hell are you talking about? So it might not happen with this class. It should. And if it's not going to happen with Coach Prime, then Shedeur should start his own 7-on-17 because he's going to need something to counteract all this negativity for the next 4 years. Because of what was at stake in the draft is still at stake. This is the year the majority of the starting quarterbacks will become black with Cam and Shedeur and Miro. I have a video on my all said and done playlist. That video is solid gold. I advise you to go watch it. You're going to sit there with your mouth open. This video was made before the draft. And there's one part of the video where I say they're going to have to come up with another narrative for how to hold Shedeur and our Cam back. Guess what that other narrative was? Coach Prime. Check it out. 17-32. Can't let them win because they will not be able to compete. Yet they must build their own. Yep, these guys got to build their own. Cousins, Flacco, and Rogers are my age. My body hurt. Let that sink in. Right. Flacco knows. What did Flacco say? I'm just trying to extend my career for as long as I can. $4 million contract totaling 13 million with incentives. That is preposterous. What the hell does he have to do? Right? And now you're not hearing about him being the starter. I said, oh, they want what's his name? Kenny Pickett to start. And then they're gonna have Flacco bring up the rear like they did before. If he's still there, that's what they're gonna do. Because if Flacco start, he cannot finish. They might believe they can rotate the other 3 or 4 quarterbacks or Dylan Gabriel enough to where they can get to the 7th game and then turn it over to Flacco probably at about maybe 8 or 9. I saw a post today. I think it was Mary Cabot put it out talking about what it is that the Cleveland Browns likes about Dylan. Nobody cares. They could talk about Dylan till he blew in the face. He seemed like a nice kid. Nobody cares. But they don't want to talk about the truth. That Shedeur Sanders was the franchise QB with the number 2 pick in the draft with Cleveland until what? The owner came out and said, we buried under Deshaun Watson contract, but you still paid Mason Grant. Deshaun Watson was a scapegoat again. That's if you see Deshaun Watson talking to Shedeur, that's why. He don't want Shedeur to falter. Let's be honest with you. Have you seen Deshaun Watson take a stumble since his civil lawsuits? Nope. You know why? Because he know the truth. He know the truth. Shedeur don't know the truth. Shedeur don't know that this not about his fault. He probably don't understand where quarterbacks are concerned. This how they go in. But Deshaun is the best person to tell him. And in my opinion, I told y'all, they gonna end up having to pay Shedeur like they paid Deshaun. So there was something in Deshaun Watson's situation that turned the tide, that made them decide, well, okay, let's just go ahead on and settle these suits. We're gonna give you your trade and your money. It could happen for Shedeur. I think it is gonna happen for Shedeur. If he there for 4 years, the truth is gonna keep coming out. Nobody cares why Cleveland was interested in Dylan Gabriel for the 3rd round. Who talks about 3rd round QBs? Nobody. And instead, people gonna start asking her, so is Shedeur gonna start or not? Remember all those people that bought those jerseys? They didn't buy those jerseys for nothing. They gonna want to see they guy. So the things that people want to talk about, they falling on deaf ears and they being met with rebuttal. Is Shedeur gonna start or not? That's all they want to know. We don't give a damn about why you chose Dylan in the 3rd round. But I would like to talk about why they scapegoated Deshaun Watson again and said that that's why they didn't take Shedeur. See how they use Shedeur against Deshaun? Shedeur was going to always go to Cleveland because Deshaun is also black. That's why. And they decided, you know what? We don't want to do that. Never mind. We're not going to get him. But then they got him. And they don't want to admit. They want to talk about Dylan being the 3rd round QB and what they like about him. What did you like about Shedeur that you met with him extensively? Why did you do that? Why did you meet with Shedeur extensively? See, they want to rest on the fact that, well, we were going to get him, but we changed our mind. They don't even want to say that right now. They don't even want to talk about the fact that they met with him extensively. You know why? Because Andrew Berry in his initial press conference said Shedeur's value was too high for the 1st round. His talent wasn't enough to suffice paying him as the number 2 quarterback. But then the owner said it's because they buried under Deshaun Watson's contract. I'm like, really? Now, how did he get that contract? They don't want to talk about the truth. I told you it's not a coincidence Shedeur is in Cleveland, where Deshaun is. Deshaun ain't corrupted Shedeur. Who the hell corrupted Deshaun? Who they covering for? that they rather keep that person's name or those person's name out the spotlight where the other masseuses are concerned. But they gave Deshaun Watson his money back instead and his damn trade. They could have just gave him the trade from the jump, but it was better to retaliate against him. That's why he got his money back, because that's retaliation. Justin Tucker tell you he wasn't the only one. The old Miss Prank public humiliation stunt tell you they protecting somebody else, and they all look alike. Shedeur should get out of his contract. I think he should. I say the hell with it. I heard Shedeur started week 1. He might. This is not gonna happen. That is not gonna happen. God will see, and somehow He always makes a way. Yep, He makes a way. He does. He does make a way. Las Vegas Raiders. What you saying, Mac, when you stop posting, nobody have tabs on you and have nothing to go off? Shit. I mean, I don't think he should stop posting, to be honest. I don't think he should stop posting. He went live today. I didn't see it. I was out and about. He was live streaming on Twitch today. I'm assuming he was at the OT7. He shouldn't stop. He honestly, he shouldn't stop. Thank you, Willie. He should stop. I think Shador need to stop posting. Hell no. That's the problem right there. No, that's what they want. Shador don't need to stop posting. They talking about Shador because they want to talk about Shador. Think about it. Why they ain't talking about Aaron Rodgers? Because he don't post? No. They're not talking about Aaron Rodgers because they don't want to talk about what Danica Patrick said. They also don't want to talk about the fact that Pittsburgh got Aaron Rodgers for 1 year and passed up on a franchise QB. The way the NFL conduct business is what's on trial. When you stop posting, no, he should not stop posting. He should not stop posting, to be honest. Hell, I think he should keep posting and took his talents to Canada. That's what I think. Because the NFL don't want him and they treat him like they don't want him, but they can't tell us why they drafted him. Why you drafted him if you didn't want him? Have you heard anybody say that yet? They won't talk about his parking tickets. Why you draft somebody you didn't want? He could have went be the best in Canada. That's why you drafted him. No, Shador don't need to stop posting because that's what they want. They want him to be preoccupied so he gets in trouble so they can have a reason to say, yeah, he not mature enough. Now they're calling him the grown QB as if he's immature. I'm like, oh, okay, so you want to say he immature. Okay, all right. Well, we're going to have a lot to talk about next week. We're going to have a lot to talk about because they don't want to talk about what they did to him. But you want to sit up and run your mouth. Okay, well, get ready for the rebuttal. Now, what happened with your situation? Were you immature? Did you settle? And in your situation, it's 10 times worse. There's some speeding tickets after somebody tried to publicly humiliate you. They don't want to talk about the effects. I actually applaud Cam Newton for following up his conversation and talked about how the stress of losing his grandmother had him in 2 accidents. Talking about the stress and what it does to you. We're going to talk about that too. They started the campaign against Watson with trading Hopkins, his favorite receiver, for no reason. Facts. After they told, what's his name? They actually told, this is what I heard about in Houston. I guess the front office, that's what you call it. The front office apparently made some kind of informal deal that they would talk to Deshaun Watson first before they traded his wide receiver 1, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't remember where I was, but I remember distinctly when that started going viral. And I can't even tell you how it went viral. It could have been somebody told somebody else. I don't know, but it was everywhere. And it was crazy because it was so out of the blue. And all we knew at the time is that supposedly, Deshaun was well respected by the front office, and they made that deal. And the Texans actually had somebody black in the front office at one point. I feel like that might have been about the same time, a black GM or something like that. I know they have a black head coach now, but I think they had a black GM at the time. And Rick Scott, that name's kind of comes to mind. Um, and the next thing you know, DeAndre Hopkins was gone. And then when he went to Arizona, they tried to come up with some excuses to why they did it. And then Deshaun wanted out. And the moment Deshaun Watson asked for a trade, it was on. And a year later, he got his trade and all his money back plus some. And they still using him to hold him up to say, see, this is who they are. This is why we don't want black quarterbacks. That don't have nothing to do with black quarterbacks because you ain't talking about Aaron Rodgers. But that's what they doing. The grown QB. So he immature now. But we not talking about what you did. Why you think they was trashing Russell Wilson like they were? Because of that collusion case. Because he had the audacity to file a grievance. They knew they would get ready to make a run for it in Pittsburgh. That's why they forced him out. And I told y'all they was playing in his face in New York. And now they talking about Jackson Dart is making his way up the depth chart. Mm-mm-mm. So, that's what it is. Shedeur and Shiloh are the most talked about than any other player. Yep. Shiloh somebody said the guy's name is Bufferfy Burt, Bert, like Robert, but Bert, Bufferfy Burt. So yeah, everybody knew him. Somebody said his name today on social media. It is funny how people said fan goes wild, over Shedeur Sanders. I'm just like fans celebrate Shedeur Sanders being in Tampa, and he loves it. That's what I see. I mean, he's so excited. He told me we stole Shiloh. That clip is going to live on. That clip is going to live on, and it brings some excitement to Tampa. Otherwise, people don't talk about Tampa. People don't talk about Tampa. They don't want these guys. They don't want Shedeur. They don't want Shiloh to have what they have. Well, guess what? Not only is Shiloh page buzzing, he has just shy. He's just shy of 200,000 subs just on YouTube alone. He also has Twitch, and it started to catch fever around the league. So now, Travis is in Jacksonville, right? And y'all know Travis, his page is buzzing. See, nobody never said nothing about Travis's page. The only time somebody got called out and said Travis and Shedeur got the same thing was the chain. Remember, they were talking about, yeah, his chain, this, that, and the other, talking about Shedeur. When I was calling that guy green shirt before the leopard changed his stripes. Um, and then Bug was sitting down an interview and pulled out the chain. He said, "It's Travis' chain right here." In other words, they were trying to say, see, we like Travis because he don't have jewelry. Yes, he does. Adidas actually gave him what appears to be like a herringbone, a Cuban link chain, or whatever it is. So yes, he does. And he has his own Travis Hunter. See, that's why they gave Shedeur Travis's number. That's why they drafted Travis in the number 2 spot instead of Shedeur to rub it in the face. We want you to be like him. What the hell did we just see Travis go through personally? What did we learn about Travis personally after the OSU game and his wedding? All that time. What did we learn? That his self worth was not there. That's who they want you to be. That's who they want you to be. They don't like Shedeur because he knows exactly who he is. They don't want Shedeur in Cleveland because they can't do to Shedeur what they did to Deshaun Kaiser. They can't do that. And he don't move like Deshaun Watson, so you're not gonna be able to catch him on that either. Can you post the video before the draft? It's posted. It's just on Go to the playlist that says all said and done. I think it's probably an hour long video I did. I think it's probably an hour long. It's a good video. Yeah, just go to the playlist. It's on there. Just hit play all, and you're gonna hear it. You're gonna be like, "What?" Yep. I was watching it. I said, "This is gold. This is gold." Shiloh gonna be Shiloh. Yep. So I was saying it was catching on, right? So Travis is in Jacksonville. Now there's another player has somebody, his team, or somebody called the Four. I don't know what the hell that meant. He has them recording for his YouTube channel now. You see, he recording his workouts. See, Travis being in Jacksonville and him doing what he did, right? Now that somebody else has somebody doing it, right? So see, it was never just Shedeur. They just wanted to try. And see, they did that at CU. I don't know if y'all was paying attention, but there used to be people in the comments saying they didn't want Travis to be like Shedeur. I'm like, y'all don't know neither one of them, right? You don't know neither one of them. And what we have learned about both of them is we know one was truly struggling with his self worth, right? And the other one has high self worth, but he dealing with people who don't want to see him excel. And he is mature. And I said it, just because he's handling it well doesn't mean it's easy. And then here we are. So they talking about his tickets because they want to. There's plenty to talk about. Aaron Rodgers, Retzloff, talk about that. But no, they want to pit Shedeur against Deshaun or use Deshaun to hold back Shedeur. And then they want to use Shedeur or use Travis to rub in Shedeur's face. You notice how it's always two black guys? Just like they wanted to give Vince Young the Heisman that they took from Reggie Bush. Why you ain't offered to nobody white? Because they want to divide these guys. As long as these guys have an individualism mentality in the NFL, they will never use their collective voice to fight for anything. And now that you know the NFL Players Association works with the ownership, these guys don't have no recourse other than their voice. They better take a cue from the 39 rookies holding out. And when that whistle blows, don't come off them sidelines until you get them guaranteed contracts because basketball has the highest frequency of injuries and they have guaranteed contracts. Stop letting these people play y'all and divide y'all so you don't come together and use your voice. What are my thoughts on the Players Association lead? JC Treader being a former Browns lead and the center of the cover up for collusion. I ain't surprised. It seems like whoever they get for the league is somebody they can manipulate. That they only put people in place that they can control. Just look at Andrew Berry. Okay? How in the hell is Andrew Berry on the hook for Deshaun Watson's contract? Didn't that happen in 2021? When did Andrew Berry start working there? Not for Cleveland as the GM. And then you might realize why they made him the GM. See, if he started working there before this whole contract thing went down, or anywhere around 2021, that's why he's their GM. Let's see if they renew his contract. It's supposed to be expired in 2026. Hell, it's getting ready to be July. So let's see. See, when you value people, that contract would have been done January 1. Let's see what happens. Travis has always had the most subscribers, even when they were on CU. Now, Shedeur always had the most subscribers. Shedeur always had the most subscribers. Travis might be coming on as of late, but Shedeur actually had the most subscribers of, I think he had right around 3 million. But Travis is coming on. But what I was saying is now somebody in Jacksonville see making money from he got his guaranteed money, he got his YouTube, he out here with his Adidas deals. Yep. Travis is getting to do all of that. And they got 39 contracts they won't fix. So now somebody that got smart. I don't know who the guy is, but it said he has a crew recording his workouts for his YouTube channel. That's what they need to do. Let them see you getting money somewhere else. Why is it that it's only Travis? It should be you too, right? But there are gonna be people who feel like, well, I don't want to lose my contract. What contract? It's not guaranteed. You ain't got it anyway. You don't have it anyway. It's not like it's in your hand. You don't have it. And for the people that are out here auditioning, y'all signed the contract. Y'all should be getting paid something. There's no point in signing a contract after the draft to work out and audition for a team. You supposed to be getting some money, not the first game check that you might never make it to. That's just using you for free labor to sharpen the guys that they want to be on the team. That's not right. That's a whole nother conversation. So, that's what it is, guys. We see, I see our guys trying to enjoy themselves. I see Shedeur. I'm looking at his body language. Uh, I'm listening to people still try to beat up on him and start calling him the grown QB as if he's immature, but they're not talking about what precipitated the events. Look at the dates. What was the first one? Like the first week in June, June 6th? And then he's met in Cleveland with a hostile attitude. I need to go back and look at the date of the first press conference with Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. That should have been the next day after the draft. So the week after that, Shedeur gets his first ticket. And the only reason he didn't have a driver is he probably wasn't even trying to show his wealth. This is what Shedeur is going to learn. Be yourself unapologetically. Recognize who you're dealing with. Be honest. This is not about your dad. This is about you being a black quarterback. See, his dad was not a black quarterback. He had the same type of notoriety and even more so than the quarterbacks. But his son is a black quarterback with that same notoriety. They don't want that. All you got to do is look at how they treat the other black quarterbacks. They were tripping on how Shedeur responded to the news of Travis getting his signing bonus, like Shedeur was jealous or something, like he didn't grow up around money. No, they want him to be bothered by it. They know he has money. They did that because they want Shedeur to be bothered by what they gave Travis because that was for Shedeur. Understand this. Shedeur was going at number two. I said this before. If Tennessee didn't want they pick until the week of the draft, why they just didn't make a deal with Jacksonville and Travis go number one overall? Why they didn't trade that pick to Jacksonville and then somebody else go number two? Anybody know? Because they wanted Travis to be number two. If we ever get that discovery, and that's probably gonna be a fight. If we ever get that discovery, whoo, this gonna be interesting. So it's not that they know he's wealthy. That's one of the things that irks them because it's hard to control people who are wealthy. They know that. People asked if they thought the NFL changed his mind on Shedeur because he was in the rooms with Jerry Jones and the commissioner. I'm like, nope. They know that's Coach Prime's son, Coach Prime right there. You know, if you they had him at the celebrity game, what did you hope to get out of that? If you didn't think he was a celebrity, why have him and Michael Vick be the quarterbacks at the NFL celebrity game if you knew he was a celebrity? And the people that were in those rooms that saw, they weren't even in there. They weren't even in those rooms. And we've seen Jerry Jones have one-on-one conversation with Shedeur and Coach Prime. So no, I don't think so. We know Roger Goodell's grandson played for Jackson State the same time Shedeur was there because he was on Coach Prime roster. They just stabbed Coach Prime in his back and made him a scapegoat so they could cover up what they're truly doing to Shedeur. Notice it's not past tense. Why? Because it's still happening. It's still happening, and the media is aiding and abetting. See, now that they know Shedeur has 3 million fans and people coming out all over the place about Shedeur, they have to CYA and let the media disseminate the negativity. Well, the media can get called out. I'm talking about YouTube subscribers. You can click on. Oh yeah, no. I don't think Shedeur's YouTube was ever up like that. I was talking about overall. I wasn't just talking about YouTube. I was saying social media wise, Shedeur had the most followers. So that's what I was talking about. But no, Travis's YouTube has come on. Shedeur, I don't think he keep up with his YouTube like that. I thought Shiloh does though. Shiloh keeps up with his YouTube for whatever reason. Shedeur seems to like Discord and Twitch. I don't know. So yeah, so I don't know. But it's not that they know he didn't grow up rich. You got to look at the fact that they gave him Travis's number because people kept saying Shedeur did not choose any number. They gave him that number. They gave him 12. That's Travis's number, and Travis went number 2, and he didn't have to. He could have went number 1 overall. They don't want Cam to even be QB1, so why draft Cam? So people won't say you racist after you do what you did to Shedeur. They just blocked the number 2 spot. That's all that was. They playing these guys against each other, but that's not new. That's how they keep a mindset of individualism. Well, I ain't gonna worry about Shedeur. I got my bag, and that's how they acted. That's how they acted. I don't know how you act like that, right? Because what they did to him was ugly, and they all should realize this affects you too. Like Travis, he had to go fishing with Coach Prime to get his money up front. He wasn't gonna get it. The draft was in April, so we're gonna get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow night. Um, I'm sorry, tomorrow during the day. We'll be back sometime tomorrow during the day for it's not lunch and stream because it's summer. We're just gonna be back during the day. I'll schedule it so y'all will have an idea about what time we going live. Um, and we probably gonna go back over the document either tomorrow during the afternoon or tomorrow evening. People said it's worth looking at because of the sections that pertain to Russell Wilson. Like you could see the collusion jump off the page. But here's the question: what is anybody gonna do about it? Now that the document is out, it's obvious that they colluded, even though they say they did. Is somebody gonna do something? See, I'm a solution oriented person, and when I see that the NFL is unjustly denying guarantees with false logic, I'm like, I'm gonna share this with you, and it's up to you to go do something about it. So we're gonna see about the 49 people still holding out and see if they get any recourse on that. No, 39. It's 39 people still holding out. So they always try to use reverse psychology as if people don't understand what they're saying. Right, because why? That means they truly believe the whole lower cognitive functioning. They really believe that. They really believe that. You can't get all the way to 2021 with believing that black NFL players have lower cognitive functioning. And because you get sued for $1 billion and you settle $1 billion lawsuit with a B, that you suddenly don't believe it anymore. Who honestly believes that if in 2021 the NFL settled $1 billion lawsuit with a B for race norming, saying that black NFL players had lower cognitive functionings than white, who believes that just because they got caught with their hand in a cookie jar, that they don't believe that anymore? And who believes that if they believed it in 2021 and they got caught with their hand in a cookie jar, that they don't believe it in 2025? Who believes that? Who believes that your mindset changes just because you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar? Did anybody talk about that? No, not really. A lot of people don't even know that. I don't even know if people in the NFL know that. Who believes that they no longer believe in race norming? Who believes that they not practicing it? Because I think that's exactly what they're practicing against black quarterbacks in the draft. Why am I devaluing these guys? Why don't I want the majority of my quarterbacks to be starters that are black? Why not? I asked that question before. Why not? What's wrong with the majority of black quarterbacks being the starters? What's wrong with that? So we shall see. We'll see y'all later. Um, We'll be back tomorrow. And we'll just see what it is. When you see the guys' pages, show them some love. Again, I feel like we all can't move forward until somebody take care of Shedeur. That's just how I feel about it. So we'll be back tomorrow with more What She Said Sports, and y'all gonna probably hear me talking about basketball. Angel Reese is out here killing it. She's doing really, really good. Her last 4 games, she putting up record breaking numbers. So you're gonna probably hear me talking about that as well. All right, y'all, we're gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. We'll be back tomorrow. Look for your notifications, turn your notifications on. Have a good evening. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.